Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome to my booth. I'm Jay. Today we're listening to one of your samples. Again, I love doing this stuff. This one comes from Frank, and Frank was curious if the low end of his recordings sounds boomy, as well as if his microphone is articulate enough to get the job done. So we'll talk a bit about that. And then, as always, if you would like me to review audio of yours just like or similar to this, there's a form in the description of this video. Fill it out, send me something. You'll put you in a video just like this one down the line. Just be patient with me while I get to everybody else who's already submitted. And hey, without further ado, Frank, take us away.
Hello and welcome to The Wanderer, the Anglo-Saxon history and mythology podcast. The Mysterious Village. In the heart of the Anglo-Saxon countryside, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there lay a small and mysterious village.
Frank, I'm just pausing real quick. A, I'm into it already. B, this doesn't sound boomy to me at all. There is a bit of muddiness going on, which you may be getting at, which, it's not egregious, but we'll talk about how you can work on that stuff in a moment. Continue, sir.
The villagers were a close-knit community bound by ancient traditions and secrets passed down through generations. Among these secrets was the legend of the Anglo-Saxon werewolves, a tale that sent shivers down the spines of the villagers. Edric, a young and curious blacksmith's apprentice, was fascinated by the stories of these mythical creatures. As the village prepared for the harvest festival, Edric couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary was about to unfold.
Oh, cliffhanger. Gotta love a cliffhanger, especially when it comes to stories like this, where it's just good. Frank, before I forget, let us know where we can check out your podcast in the description of this video for those who are interested. I would love to know what happens to Edric. As far as articulation, that was your other question. I think your microphone sounds just fine to me. And it would be more so a artistic inclination or a point of preference for you if you want to boost it. And you can either choose a brighter, more boosted in the top end microphone, depending on what you're using, or I'll show you a little EQ thing. I just put out a video about how to EQ, and there are a couple of things that I'll talk about that you can just pop over to that video, and it'll go into much more depth about the processes I'm doing. So the first thing is the boominess of your recording. Again, it's not super boomy, but there are a couple of things you can do. This was a quick little thing I was messing around with, but to break it down, I came up with this sort of curve for you, and I'll show you how I came up with it real quickly. So firstly, a high-pass filter. It looks like you've already got one when I'm looking at your recording already, so I just doing that to reinforce it. A high-pass filter, always a good idea. Then there are a couple resonant frequencies in your recording. Again, I have an EQ video just put out going into detail here, but you can hunt those out by doing this sort of thing in ultimate fast forward and then just pulling those down. And that'll just help to remove a smidge of the sort of lower end muddiness that you may be hearing. And then as far as articulation, you can add a little boost in the top end of your recording just by giving it a little couple dB boost like that, and that should give you a little bit more articulation. So I'll do a quick little A/B comparison here, and we can listen to what this EQ is doing. So this is, again, without no EQ.
Hello and welcome to The Wanderer. Villagers were a close-knit community bound by ancient traditions and secrets passed down through generations. Among these secrets was the legend of the Anglo-Saxon werewolves, a tale that sent shivers down the spines of the villagers. Edric, a young and curious blacksmith.
So it's pretty darn subtle. I would recommend wearing headphones. But the way I found a lot of those, again, it's in the video in depth. But if, for example, we listen to this little frequency here.
Among these secrets. secrets was the legend of the Anglo-Saxon werewolf.
You can hear how there's sort of that like bell-like thing going on. So at about 139 hertz, it sounds like you've got a bit of a resonance going on. And just to clean that up a bit, we're going to take a few decibels, 2 or 3, out of that specific frequency range. So that'll help a little bit with the muddiness. Then, as far as your recording as a whole, I don't know if this is your version of final audio or if you sent me raw-ish stuff for diagnosis. In either case, I'm going to talk about it as if it's more on the raw side. And a couple of things that I would recommend for a podcast. Firstly, I would explore using a noise gate or an expander. What that'll do is it'll help to just clean up some of the silences when you're not speaking and just make your recording overall a bit cleaner. So for example, here, it'll tame that stuff, if not just straight up eliminate it. Again, here, this will just be a fair amount cleaner. So look into a noise gate and/or expander for your final product, as well as a declicker of sorts. There's a fair amount of mouth sounds going on and nothing that's not human, so rest easy on that front. But a mouth declicker has made my life tremendously simpler and my recordings much cleaner. The one that I prefer is Isotope's mouth declicker, but you can check out, I have another video about reducing mouth clicks in your recordings here on this channel. So check out the noise gate and expander video, the EQ video, how to EQ, as well as the reducing or removing your mouth clicks video. And I think those will help you out. And with that, hey, Frank, thanks again for sending this in. Really cool project, really cool podcast. And again, tell us where we can check it out if we're hankering to know what happens to Edric. But yeah. The last thing that I was going to say was you may have a little bit of space in your performance because it's clear that you're passionate about this subject, that you have a good grasp of storytelling, you lay images up for us. But I think you can slow down just a hair, perhaps. And the way that I like to do that for myself is as I'm narrating, I will visualize sort of the movie in my mind. So, for example, this section here.
In the heart of the Anglo-Saxon countryside, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there lay a small and mysterious village.
Like, you already are narrating that so darn well, but I imagine that as sort of the classic shot coming in through the clouds. In the hillside, in the dense forests, there was a small village, and you can just imagine the camera zooming in, and that helps me to pace things a little bit better for myself, if that's helpful. Thanks again, Frank. And for the rest of you, I hope this was helpful and instructive as well. If you like the stuff and you find it helpful, if you wouldn't mind taking a second or two to click those buttons down there, it helps other folks find us, and we just appreciate the heck out of it. Until the next one of these, be well, everybody, and I'll see you then. Toodles.